recorded today because I forgot to do the fifth period.
Oh, God.
You're not doing it in class though, you're doing it at home.
Oh, my God.
It's I think it's just like the end of the period today. The end of the period today.
Why did teachers do back in the end with the
So
area?
you guys are getting distracted.
Man, it was like, I'm distracted looking at it.
I mean, you're distracted by everything, it's all good, you know?
Oh, I get it now. It's about time.
Alright, so how much of this did we cover yesterday? None of it, correct? Alright, so one of the things that I'm doing to help you guys out is to start just spelling out what you need to know from the chapter. So, allons-y.
What was that one?
Allons-y, let's go.
It was in the beginning, he's like three different estates, like with the word.
What chapter?
It's the three different
Seven,
states.
one. The seven one. March. Like title.
Yeah, basically it's French Revolution, phase one.
Beginning
There's 4 phases in the French Revolution. We're starting phase 1 today. Simple, easy. All right. So you guys get these down, and then we'll talk about them as we go. I'm not just going to define them all right here, because that seems like an utter waste of time since we're about to talk about them. But I will point out 2 individuals here. Louis XVI and Marie Antoinette. Louis XVI, of course, is the King of France, and Marie Antoinette is who? His wife, sure. And do you guys know who her mom is?
Elizabeth?
No. Maria Theresa. She was the one who fought Frederick the Great.
Oh.
She's the Queen of Austria. She's a Habsburg, right? So the idea here is to combine the houses of Bourbon with the Habsburgs. Now the thing of it is, for everything we know about Marie Antoinette, when she begins her life as queen, she's pretty, intelligent, witty young lady, and Louis is just kind of this fat, schleppy, kind of uncertain.
gold digger.
Not really, because she's also rich. More like it's a union. Well, she's royal too. This is
So she's not lonely?
well, no. It's more like you're married. It's more like her mom tells you you're marrying this person for an alliance.
Like the force.
Kind of, but she also does want to get married. It's not that she doesn't like Louis. That's not what I'm trying to
She
say.
would stay married not to him.
I'm not saying that either. No. The thing I'm pointing out is that Louis is not going to be a very good king, and she's not going to be a particularly very good queen either. They're both inexperienced. They're both young, and to put it bluntly, they're intelligent from their education, but they are woefully unprepared for the situation that's going to fall on their lap. Well, I guess you could put it that way. More like not very cunning would be the word I would say. They're not able to deal with the situation. And to be fair to them, the situation they're going to find themselves in is really, really bad. Like, it takes a genius, a literal genius, to fix France. It's going to be such a mess that it takes someone who is regarded as one of the greatest political military minds in the world ever to have lived to fix it. That's saying something. You know what I'm saying?
Was it me?
Unless your name is Napoleon Bonaparte, in which case you look pretty great for, 180-year-old man. And don't make no mistake, Napoleon was a genius. I mean, we'll talk about it, but the military structure we have today was based off of what he could do by himself. Like, he was a brilliant guy. All right, starting in the late 1700s, France is organized into three social classes: the first, the second, and the third estate. Members of the first estate are part of the church, the clergy. Members of the second estate are the nobility. The third estate is everyone else, but that's kind of even a misnomer. We can further subdivide the third estate into two classes: the proletariat, or the working class, and the bourgeoisie, which is the working class. I mean, the middle class, sorry. Yes?
Do we need to count days yet? I think I heard you said it's the
No.
second or nineteenth.
Second semester. You're until January. Then you guys get a whole new type of question on your tests. Isn't that exciting?
What is it?
Place in chronological order. Give you 4 events, put them in the right order. We'll have them first to last.
I think that'll be easier than the other questions, so.
They're not as bad as probably you think. That being said, they're not easy either.
What's burden of
Bourgeoisie. The third estate was made up of the middle class, or the... Now then, the Estates General was a meeting of the three estates. The idea was to act as advisors to the king. The thing is, in the voting, each estate's representatives got 1 vote. So 1 vote for the first estate, 1 for the second, and 1 for the third. That seems fair, right? Except let's analyze the population breakdown. 70% of the population is the third estate. So that means 70% of the population is only getting 1/3 of the votes. It's a completely disproportionate voting system. Add on to that fact that the first and the second estates don't pay taxes. So the wealthiest members of the population don't pay taxes, don't have really any real responsibilities. Everything is being settled on people who have the least amount of say.
It's good for the rich.
Oh yeah, it's great for them, but here's the thing, is every time the third estate tries to change anything, I say, I think you guys should pay taxes. First estate says no, second estate says no, you've been overruled. So they have no real power, and you're right, if you're first or second estate, this is amazing, we're gonna party and have a great time, but this is gonna basically make the third estate pretty angry. Now, they're not going to do much about it until the situation is such that they become desperate, when they're hungry, whenever they have no options of changing everything besides violence. Yeah,
How long did that last, like the first and the first?
basically throughout medieval society, it goes way back, hundreds of years.
I feel like it couldn't have lasted long because nothing like was getting like
Accomplished?
solved.
Yeah. Well, part of that is people were taught this is just how life is. Don't worry about it because you'll die and then it's all good, right? Religion was used as a means of controlling people, right? This is why some of the enlightened thinkers were kind of, I wouldn't say anti-religion, but they were more like the separation of faith and state. If that makes any sense. Separation of church and state is an enlightenment principle. So without the Enlightenment, people just kind of go along with it. Because that has happened, though, now people are questioning this. Why should these people have these rights? You know, think about one of the most basic principles. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men, literally, are created equal. Right? Think about what that means. They're equal. They're born without advantage. They are all the same. If that is the case, then why does a majority of the wealth and power lie in a minority of the population? So this is going to turn not only the political structure on its head, but the societal one as well. So everything is going to change. But that being said, people cannot react until 2 things happen. They become desperate and they have no other alternative. think about this. People don't revolt. They don't fight wars and go to revolution because they're kind of upset about something. They go to war because they are desperate. They go to war because they have to. You know? So what we're going to see happen here is things are going to go really south. What goes wrong? The economy. If you look at countries that have it really, really bad, the economy is really, really terrible, they have less opportunity, those are the countries that have problems. Countries that have good economies, they're not, like, they might be upset about things, they're not going to do anything about it, because they're happy. You know, their basic needs are met, and they're not going to risk that with war. This is not the case in the 1700s in France. The French court has been spending more money than it's brought in for years. For centuries have been accruing debt. And Louis has to try to fix this. You know, wars such as the American War for Independence was one of these things that really doesn't benefit France, not directly. And so they're not recouping their losses. Louis has to try to fix the problems, and he ends up doing a really poor job. His attempts to fix the economy make it worse. His meddlesome interference is seen as exacerbating the problem and basically making people hate him even more. Add to this fact that the first and the second estates are exempt from paying taxes, and they're throwing lavish parties. So while the working class is starving in the streets of Paris, the nobility are throwing grand balls and parties filled with feasting tables. This problem is going to drive the people of France into revolution, but not at first. It's going to be gradual. At first, they just want change. And so what happens, in 1788, Louis is forced to call the Estates General in order to try to make a decision on what to do about the economy. Now, here's again something about Louis. Louis is really not very opinionated. He's willing to kind of listen to whoever he last talked to. So if he talks to someone in the third estate, they're like, dude, we are starving. You've got to fix that. Okay, yeah, we'll fix that problem right away. And he goes, he talks to someone in the first estate, they're just whining. They're all lazy. Like, they're just, you know, they're welfare queens. They're living on this. And he goes, oh, okay, well, it's not really a problem then, you know. It's this kind of, like, different mentality. He doesn't listen to anybody and act on it. He just keeps changing his opinion. He can't make a decision. And that means nothing gets accomplished. When the Estates General vote on solving the problems, and the first and the second estate vote against the third, they realize that this isn't working. So they form their own government. And thus begins the early stage of the French Revolution. Because essentially what they've done is says, we don't trust you anymore to make decisions, we're going to do it on our own. This is a declaration. We refuse to listen to you anymore. That is basically throwing down and saying, the king only has the power we say that he does. This is a declaration of independence, more or less. The difference is they're not, at this point of the game, trying to get rid of Louis. But we'll talk about that here in a second. First off, let's talk about, could Louis have fixed this? Yes, he absolutely could have. The thing of it was, he failed to acknowledge a lot of the grievances that the third estate had. In a lot of cases, if he had listened to the third estate and had different advisors, he may have made different opinions, but he didn't. Adding to this effect that there's a really negative viewpoint about Louis and Marie Antoinette at this time. How many of you guys have heard the expression, let them eat cake? Let them eat cake. Who said that, allegedly? Marie Antoinette. What does it mean? You guys ever think of it? Here's what it means. Allegedly, here's what happened. Louis was meeting with his advisors, and they were telling him that the people were starving. There wasn't enough flour to make bread. Now remember, bread was the lifeblood of France. Bread was the food that everyone consumed every meal. It was basically the staple that everyone relied upon. So there not being enough flour meant that people didn't have enough food to eat. And so, they're saying there's not enough flour, we can't make bread. Well, she tries to be helpful and comes up with a solution to the problem. Well, if they can't eat bread, let them eat cake instead. What's the problem with that solution? It's the same thing. Bread, cake is bread, just sweet, right? She doesn't know that. She's never stepped foot in the kitchen. She has no idea what goes into, actually working for a living. Yes? And that statement, oh my God, it pisses people off. It's you are so freaking clueless. You don't even understand something as basic as that. And you're going to tell us how to live our lives? By the way, she never said that. It's totally made up by her enemies. She never said that. No, totally made up by people who hated her. It's propaganda, right? Propaganda is information aimed at making you think a specific way. You can see plenty of examples of this online. I forget the exact details, but there was some lady who she had, I forget what it was. She had a T-shirt on that was basically aimed at trying to teach women to not be in abusive relationships. Basically, it's like you're strong enough to deal with this situation. I forget what exactly it said, but someone photoshopped her shirt to basically say something to the effect of women should have no opinion on anything or something like that, like really insulting. And so people got up in arms like, how dare she insult women? I guess she totally never said that. That was made up. But people see stuff, they just kind of go with it because they want to believe it. Yeah. They're democracy. Fact is, you're going to see there's a lot of similarities in France. Because guess what? They ended up writing their own constitution, and has this ever been done before in 1788? Yes. Where? So they're reading our constitution like, we like these ideas. This is pretty cool.
So they're the president?
Yep. Although I think it's a different title. I could be wrong on that. I forget the exactitudes. Yeah. No such thing.
Like, is it every country millennial was free? Or is that just America?
That's an American expression now. That's us. That being said, there are other countries that are democracies, but a lot of times they kind of took a lot of cues from us. Like there's a lot of countries out there that base their government system on us. So, there are similarities.
Is that the big ones?
No, they didn't base it off us. They have their own system, because they're still monarchy. But like Canada's based off of England, Australia's based off England, things like that. Like most of Latin American countries based off America. A lot of us even use American dollars, but their own economy is,
Oh yeah, in Mexico they do something.
a lot of cases they do.
There's like this one state that I went to last year, and it's called like Guatemala,
Yeah.
whatever like that.
Guadalajara.
Something like that, and they took it around.
It's not uncommon because it's a solid currency. Anyway, now, that's pretty much all the stuff we talked about at this point. Although I want to make some points across here. They weren't trying to get rid of their monarchy. They're kind of following the English system at this point because, monarchies are just part of the system. This is how easily tied they are to the idea of monarchy. That it's the monarch is not just a person who currently has that title. For instance, they kind of don't really respect Louis. Everyone knows he's a dither or not a very good leader, but they respect his position as king. That's kind of where today, people will give deference to Queen Elizabeth, even though hypothetically you can be as rude as you want to her and nothing will happen to you. I mean, you can sit there fart in her face all day long, and they're not going to arrest you and throw you in jail forever. She's probably just going to sit there and make it, she's just a person like everybody else. It's...
How would you call them fun place?
And you're just like, you had Taco Bell for lunch, you're just really embarrassed, I don't know. My point is that you don't have to show their societal graces, but people tend to because of respect of the position. So like how there are people in the United States who might despise the president, but they still respect the position, the presidency, if that makes any sense. That's the difference. It's a symbol for the state. Now that being said, that's going to go out the window. I think it's because, like, you know those fart guns they have from that's what my wife was doing to her fires the other day. I was just like, huh, that's the thing.
It's expensive, right? It's $40.
Yeah. Maybe it's exactly.
When do we vote for new president?
Next,
November?
Yes, I'm voting for
Next November?
probably nobody, because you won't be a
There's
king.
someone to come on.
Probably nobody, because she's an independent person.
She didn't vote for president. So I'm like, you're gonna go vote for me? Not for me. Can't you have like can't there be like write-ons when you vote for like?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can like vote
You
someone.
can vote for like.
And that being said, you guys know that who you vote for doesn't actually matter.
Yeah, 18.
No,
No, it's backwards.
because of the electoral college. You guys know how voting works in the U.S.? I mean, it does matter, but not directly.
No, they're not. I don't know you voted and counted.
That is not how that works. Hmm? A percent in the state, right?
The only thing that is because I watch Spanish.
Yeah, you can look, that's another reason why that, like, the whole, like, swing vote movie totally would never happen, can't happen. Voting's really, really complicated. But not, also complicated, that's kind of an overstatement, anyway.
Should everyone vote?
Yes, absolutely.
That's not a good privilege.
Well, the most important thing about it is, if you think about it, if you want a government to represent you, represent the wants and needs of the people, everyone needs to vote to kind of get the idea across. Or to put it another way, if you think about it this way, think about if we were voting on pizza for the Fraser Museum. I only asked 10 people what kind of pizza do you like, and they were all vegetarians and only or veggie. Any carnivores out there are going to starve.
How does that work? Like, if you've been in jail?
If you've been convicted of a federal crime, you cannot vote.
Whenever I was applying for my job, or like, I had like list of files that I was on there.
That's good.
I know.
It's good to know. Don't write this down. This is do not. This is a timeline. I just want to show you where we are in the grand scheme of things. We haven't quite gotten to this part yet. The official beginning of the French Revolution is right here, the storming of the Bastille. We'll get to that here in half a second. But first, don't worry about it. It's all good. What's that? It is. It's in a score, right? And what's interesting here is, see these guys right down here? These guys. No. Although, actually, that looks like a living.
They look like they're shaking hands.
Right, they are. So look at these guys, little Jedi. What's going on there?
Yeah, they look like you're doing that game where you put your hands over. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so they're the clergy, the priests. The first estate sides with the third estate. What happened at tennis court oath? What happened? What happened? They weren't trapped. They couldn't get in. They were locked out of the Estates General building. They still wanted to meet and continue on writing the Constitution. So they looked at the next closest building that could hold 1,000 people, right? It's kind of limited. So they went to a sports arena, which is a tennis court, right? And so they met there and vowed that they would start a new government and all would be handy. And by the way, the first state met them there, and they now have an alliance against the second estate. So the plot thickens. What's that? It's the storming of the Bastille. It's a prison, right? Why do they hate the Bastille?
And those for fancy people's prison.
Well, not exactly.
Because they can send anybody there.
Right. It's political prisoners. It's also a fortress. What do people want from there? Yep. That's it, guys.
Why would they keep guns?
Because it was also a fortress. It was a place for the military to go and suppress riots with deadly force if need be.
Oh, alright.
Yep. By the way, that's what one of those things looks like going
Is
on.
that you?
Yeah, the funny thing is, no one else got that until I pointed out yes.
Which one? The second one? What was the first one? With the hat and the veil, then he was like the
I'm the man you don't have.
yeah. I knew it. Where'd you get
Ah.
that?
Yeah, you know, like something I fell in love.
I said, this is actually a film shooting for the Falls Landing Association.
And
It
that's
was a
what
music-
you're doing a movie?
yeah, right? Yeah, several.
You get paid?
Yeah.
How much? You're an
Your
actor.
teacher's famous.
I'm not Steve being so like such a famous person.
That was kind of funny to me about
He's
this.
so intimidated.
Is you guys remember from the Fraser Museum how you guys saw the stuff about the Lewis and Clark expedition?
Yeah.
This is what this is. And you guys know the only person to die in the exhibit? Charles Floyd? That was my character. I had that scene and everything.
You get out, can we watch the movie?
It's at the Falls Landing exhibit. You have to go there and see
It's
it.
on Netflix, so we watch
It's at the
it.
Falls Landing. It's one of those movie ones, like you know, like you guys in the Fraser, they had that movie going.
Is it on YouTube?
It's like that.
No, can we watch it here? Here we go.
I don't have access to it, gang.
I saw it.
You're acting in it.
Yeah, yeah. You're the
You
lead.
died.
They
They
didn't
only
like
own it. You
I
died.
don't have to wait at all.
Yeah, you died, so.
I will say this, it was really funny, that, Seaman, the big dog, they totally had one of those on exhibit. It was, I think it was, Lewis's dog. It was a
Oh, I
Newfoundland
remember
Terrier.
that now.
Or a great,
It was a dog.
it's a giant fluffy dog, I don't remember the breed. But they totally had one of those hanging out the entire time, people kept slipping snacks over, like, I thought I was gonna be so fat by the end of this weekend. Holy
You go
crap.
shoot that in a weekend?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Oh, was your
Along
wife
with
in it?
She had to work, and besides, there were no women on the expedition besides Second Joanne. You see my wife, she is not Native American.
Oh, yeah, we saw it. She has orange hair.
Yeah, pretty much I am dread, but yeah.
Your kids have red hair?
What?
Your kids have red hair?
I'm not sure about the youngest one yet. She has red highlights, it might turn red.
What about your older one?
No,
I had
she-
red highlights
she's,
when I was a baby,
she's
and my
not.
hair just turned red.
I was blonde for the first like 5 years of my life. Like,
So
I
my
like
brother,
blonde.
I like your one.
I was blonde when I was
Hey, by the way, does this name look familiar to you?
Yes.
What did he do? He was the general of the French forces who helped out the American Revolutionary Forces. He's kind of a big deal.
What did you do?
He basically helped us out whenever we broke free from England. Because, the French sent a bunch of troops to help us out. He was their commander. So when he goes back, he's the guy who, he's going to be like the head of the government. I think his little marquis is a noble title. So he kind of loses favor. Yep. Same after him. Like I said, not a big deal, right? Like I said, we're kind of like, at this point this is going on, the Americans are like, yeah, you go revolutionaries, you start your new government, you be bad. That being said, we were also kind of like, yeah, we beat the British, and then it's like, oh my god. And then we get the Swedes decided to pull out, we're just kind of like, make a put together on there. And so we decided to jump in on another war in 1812 for reasons. We'll get to that later. Because the thing is, Napoleon, when we get to him, he's pretty much reviled throughout Europe. Like, you see him, on par with Hitler, unless you're in France. In America, we're like, he's okay. Because he hated the English. And we're like, we hate English? You're our buddy. And he's like, hey, bro. We're like, what's up, bro? Nice hat. There's even a hotel in New Orleans that has the Napoleon room. It was built in the express. Actually, it's called the Emperor Room because, he's an emperor. And it was built if the event he ever visited the United States. That way we could kind of welcome him as royalty. Yeah.
When do we get a class?
Probably should do it now.
Oh,
So that sounds like a solid. I'm going to go and stop the recording there.
Oh,
Just like how funny here's the